Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is a pro-revenge story. I was chatting with my buddy Jake, and he said, "Dude, I've got a crazy story from my brother that'll blow your mind." It wasn't Jake's tale, but his brother's, and I leaned in as he started spilling the details. Get ready, it's a wild ride and a long one. Let's call him Tom. Tom's been tinkering with computers since he was a kid and knows them like the back of his hand. Like most techies, he's bounced from job to job. The company he worked for a couple of years ago was a service and distribution outfit, and there were just two IT guys on staff. The place was located in Ontario, Canada. Around 2021, Tom's employer decided to upgrade their software game. They had separate programs for dispatching, inventory, payroll, finances, and shuffling data. Between them was a total headache. They chose to implement an ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, and Tom recommended one he knew inside out from a previous gig. For those unfamiliar, an ERP program handles everything: purchase orders, sales, inventory, personnel, vendors, customers, the works. You can pull up a report and find out which customer bought the most widgets last quarter, which salesperson's numbers are skyrocketing, which vendor has the fastest turnaround, which shipper packed the most orders. Everybody at the company used the ERP program, but most folks only knew the parts relevant to their role. Like, the receiving guy would log incoming shipments, verify quantities, confirm they arrived, and that inventory data would be available to the sales team if they needed to check stock levels. The receiver didn't care about prices or vendors, he just did his thing. Tom was run ragged during the rollout, but he managed to train most employees on their relevant sections, and after a few months, everything was humming along smoothly. Tom still fielded tickets for software tweaks and the occasional hardware hiccup. Then the company decided to expand their reach and started marketing across different time zones. That threw a wrench in the works. Atlantic Canada is 90 minutes ahead, so if someone fired off an email or order at 8 a.m. their time, it would land at 6:30 a.m. Ontario time. Pacific Canada is 3 hours behind, so an email sent at 3 p.m. Vancouver time would arrive at 6 p.m. This stretched out the workday, so lots of staff started coming in early and staying late. Tom would roll in at 8 a.m., and there'd be people demanding his immediate help, annoyed that he didn't respond instantly, even though their request came in before his shift. Same deal. Late in the day, his phone would blow up during dinner with folks wanting assistance right then and there. They decided to stagger Tom's and his IT colleagues' shifts, with Tom starting at 6 a.m. and clocking out at 2:30 p.m., and his buddy kicking off at 10:30 a.m. and working till 7 p.m. Tom's coworker had kids, though, and flatly refused the shift change. The employer insisted. The coworker quit. That left Tom as the lone IT ranger. The company said they'd look to hire a new tech, but they struggled to find someone familiar with the ERP system, and they were offering way below market rate for the salary. Tom asked for a raise and got shut down. Then he wanted overtime pay, and the employer told him that as an IT specialist, he was exempt from overtime laws in Ontario. Tom checked, and the employer was right about that. This went on for a while, and he knew plenty of IT folks socially. They clued him in on what the company should be offering, and Tom knew they wouldn't find another tech easily. Things kept spiraling from there. Tom would get chewed out if he missed a call or email, no matter what ungodly hour it came in. He had to train new hires on the ERP system, as well as handle the hardware issues. He repeatedly requested better compensation and got denied every time, so he started looking for a new gig. Now for the revenge. Tom had access to the entire ERP program. When a user logged in, their time was recorded, and even if they didn't log out, it would automatically boot them after 15 minutes of inactivity. Everyone at the company was salaried, and lots of them came in early and stayed late. Ontario labor law states that even salaried employees are entitled to overtime after 44 hours a week, unless they're managers or supervisors. So Tom dug into the program and ran a report for each non-managerial employee, going all the way back to when the ERP system launched. Then he reached out to an employment lawyer and got the green light to refer employees to them. Tom lined up a new job, and after he left, every employee at the company received an email with an Excel sheet showing the hours they had racked up past 44 hours per week. The subject line read, "You're legally entitled to overtime pay." In the body was the lawyer's contact info. All hell broke loose. Almost every employee authorized the lawyer to negotiate with the company on their behalf, and the company had to cough up a boatload of money. All they had to do was pay Tom for the extra work he put in. Instead, they ended up paying almost everyone. The next one is an entitled people story. When my parents passed away, they left me their house and the surrounding land. It wasn't a huge property, just a modest house on 5 acres of land out in the country. My parents loved their little slice of paradise, and now it was mine. After taking some time to grieve, I decided to move into the house. It needed some fixing up after sitting vacant, but it still felt like home. The land around it was peaceful and quiet, perfect for long walks with my dog. Things were going well until I got a notice in the mail from the Oak View Estates Homeowners Association. It said I was required to join their homeowner association and abide by their rules if I wanted to live in my own home. I had never even heard of this homeowner association before. A little digging revealed that it was formed just a few years ago by some folks living in the new luxury housing development down the road. My parents' property was grandfathered since it predated the homeowner association, but now they were trying to rope me in. I went to meet with the homeowner association board to politely explain that I had no desire to join their association. My property wasn't part of their development, and I saw no benefit to signing up. But the board members were extremely rude and entitled. They claimed since my property was adjacent to the development, I was required to join. They went on about how I needed to pay dues and adhere to their nitpicky rules about lawn maintenance, paint colors, fence heights, and all sorts of other things. I stood firm and reiterated I would not be coerced into joining. The old battle axe of a president then had the audacity to say, if I didn't comply, they had legal means to make me join. I told her I'd like to see them try. A week later, I was served legal papers. They were actually taking me to court to try and force me to join their pretentious homeowner association. I was stunned by the arrogance and entitlement. Thankfully, my next-door neighbor Phil happened to be a retired attorney. I told him what was happening over a beer one night, and he was furious on my behalf. Phil offered to come out of retirement temporarily to defend me in court pro bono. I gratefully accepted. When we showed up at the hearing, you should have seen the smug looks on the homeowner association board members' faces. They clearly thought this was an open and shut case, but they didn't know they would be going up against a legal legend like Phil. Phil calmly presented our case about how my family owned the land long before the homeowner association existed. He cited all sorts of legal precedents and statutes I can barely comprehend, but the crux was, the homeowner association had zero legal standing to compel me to join. Their arguments were so weak a baby could have poked holes in them. The more Phil spoke, the more those arrogant grins slipped off the homeowner association board members' faces. By the time Phil wrapped up his brilliant arguments, they were scowling and ashen-faced. The judge didn't even need to think it over before decisively ruling in my favor. The homeowner association had no case at all. As we were leaving the courtroom, Phil whispered to me, "Watch this." He walked calmly over to the crestfallen homeowner association president and leaned down to deliver the final blow. "Don't look so upset, little lady. You should know you can't always get what you want." The look of absolute outrage on her face was priceless. Phil just chuckled and walked out like a boss, with me following behind, trying not to die from laughter. The homeowner association board members huffed and grumbled about filing an appeal, but we knew it was just hot air. Phil had demolished their nonsense claims so thoroughly, they didn't have a legal leg to stand on. After their stinging courtroom defeat, I hoped the homeowner association would leave me in peace. But these kinds of people don't back down so easily. They were intent on making my life difficult, even if they couldn't force me to join their authoritarian regime. They started harassing me with petty nuisance complaints, saying my fence was too tall or that I left trash cans out too long. They even called in bogus noise complaints when I had a few friends over to watch a football game. It was ridiculous. Instead of getting riled up, I decided to kill them with kindness. I politely informed them that since I wasn't an homeowner association member, their complaints carried no weight. For each bogus grievance, I sent back a cheerful but firm response stating I was exempt from their rules. When they saw I wasn't rattled, they got even more desperate. They tried to have their cronies on the city council pass ordinances targeting my property. Of course, Phil caught wind of their schemes and shot them down before they got anywhere. The old lawyer seemed to relish thwarting their tactics at every turn. After each failed attempt, I made sure to wave politely and smile innocently as I walked by the frustrated, scowling homeowner association board members. Seeing their entitled faces turn red with anger because they couldn't control me brought me immense satisfaction. The final straw was when they had their lawyer send me a letter claiming I was violating homeowner association rules by allowing my new golden retriever puppy to run loose in my unfenced yard. These people clearly had no shame. Phil got immense pleasure drafting the legal response informing them they had no authority over what pets I kept on my own property. Not long after, moving trucks showed up at several homeowner association board members' luxury homes. Seems they decided packing up and leaving town was preferable to the humiliation of being continually outmaneuvered and shown up by an old man and a regular guy just trying to live in peace. With the worst busybodies gone, the remaining homeowner association members backed off considerably. I think after seeing me absolutely eviscerate their overreach attempts with Phil's help, they knew further harassment would be pointless. A few even stopped by to apologize, saying they realized the previous board went overboard. Phil and I celebrated our hard-won victory by enjoying a cold beer on my back porch while my adorable puppy frolicked across the yard, his own little slice of puppy heaven where no homeowner association could ever control him or me. Gazing out contentedly at my unspoiled land, I laughed as I pictured the frustrated faces of my vanquished foes. Phil and I might seem like an odd pair, but together we outsmarted and outmaneuvered their scheming at every turn. In the end, the arrogant homeowner association learned the hard way that I don't take kindly to pompous blowhards trying to lord over me and my property. With an old-school lawyer by my side serving up ice-cold justice, we sent those entitled jerks packing. This is my land, not theirs, and I'll enjoy my little slice of country freedom in peace from now on. The next one is a petty revenge story. I work at a niche construction manufacturing company as an estimator. It's one of those that require math skills, a minimum of a 2-year engineering degree, and attention to detailed, consistent production. They will train anybody who is capable, so it's a great job in this sense. The rub, however, is they offered me around $4 or below the living wage in my city and do not have a generous paid time off policy for all employees. I don't mind the work. I like my job, but the management is obsessed with control and pedantic review of your work, and fair raises are always hard to come by, even when you improve in multiple areas, so it can get tiring to keep up the production when you feel you won't get a reward. We had an engineer meeting where they presented a new system for us that introduces tiers or levels based on your experience in the job. When management got to a section titled Grammar, Spelling, Carless Mistakes, they began to get condescending about having to include this. Our boss Garrett would say things like, "If we're having to check your spelling like I'm your English teacher, then we have a problem." So I said, "Hey Garrett, what is a carless mistake? How can I avoid making a mistake without cars?" Garrett looked up at the TV and blushed a little after rereading that he had typed, "Carless, not careless." "Yeah, that is a careless mistake, huh?" was his reply as the guy sitting next to me goes, "Knock 'em down a peg." They emailed us a copy of the sheet after the meeting, and I noticed they had corrected their carless mistake. The next one is a malicious compliance story. I used to be a service manager at one of the biggest locations of a popular Mexican grill. I won't say which, but guac was $1.95 extra, and we were required to ask everyone if they were okay paying that price. One Sunday morning, our second busiest shift of the week, 2 of my line people called out, So we were struggling to get all of our prep done before opening at 11. We are just wrapping up when in comes Karen, 10 minutes before opening, through the side door marked employees only with 15 preteen girls in tow. My cook recognizes her as she regularly comes in during the dinner shift and is extremely abusive and cruel to all the Latino workers. Karen tells me they can order whatever they want, throws her credit card at me, and goes to sit down at a table and diddle on her phone. Now I can't ring up her order without her standing there because of the company rules, and I am 30 weeks pregnant and just want to take my break. I prig-waddle it over to Karen's table to try and inform her of that, when she literally flicks her hand at me to dismiss me. Not only have I been at the store since 7 and done 2 different people's jobs on top of my own, I have my son's head grinding against my pelvic bones and kicking me like crazy. I am in no mood. When I try to tell her again, she looks at me with what I can only describe as seething contempt and says, "What part of they can get whatever they want did you not understand? I don't care what you charge me as long as I get a receipt. Don't interrupt me again, or I'll get your fat ass fired." Now I never cry, but that almost got me. Motherhood is awasomi, but pregnancy sucks. I finally managed to pick my jaw off the ground and stammer, "All right, ma'am, I'll ring up whatever they want and bring you a receipt." The girls were really nice, and most of them ordered double meat, and they all got bottled water and chips and guac. Every last one. My cashier and I are just vibrating with glee as we ring them up and watch the bill climb to like $250. I brought the bill to Karen and was pretty excited when she didn't immediately check it. I made my own food and told the cook to come get me when the show starts. I'm halfway done eating when I see him waving to the camera, howling with laughter, so I head up. Karen is foaming at the mouth, screaming for the manager, and when she sees that the manager is me, she literally grinds her teeth and slaps her receipt on the table. She manages to choke out the word refund. The girls have all pretty much finished their food, so I inform her that I won't be doing that because I would lose my job for giving away that much critical inventory, meat, guac, cheese, for free. Then I gently remind her that she told me twice that she could get anything as long as she got a receipt. She just keeps demanding a refund and calling me stupid and fat. Again, pregnant. At this point, her screaming is holding up the very long line, and customers are shouting at her to just leave. That's when she pushed me. Freaking hard. My cashier caught me, so I didn't fall down, but 2 of our regulars, who are police, see it and immediately cuff her. In this state, any use of physical force against a pregnant woman is classified as aggravated battery or something like that. I felt bad for the kids, and I was fine, so I kept telling them I didn't want to press charges, but they said that at that point it didn't matter because the woman had done it in front of on-duty officers, so she's getting arrested. They had to call the kids' parents to come get them because she was their church's youth leader and get statements. My GM came in and let me go home with a full day's pay. She tried to take the case to trial, but they had video and like 20 witness statements, so she ended up taking a couple of years probation or something. All because I did exactly what she told me to. The next one is an entitled people story. This happened during the long weekend at an Easter party at my cousin's house. My 6mm dad and I had arrived early, and I managed to snag the armchair that's isolated from the other seats. This armchair was optimal for me, being I'm antisocial and introverted, and I hate being touched unprompted. The other seats are couches and bar stools at a bench. More people arrive, great and fine. The woman, we'll call her B, who usually sits in the armchair, comes up to me. I don't know how old she is, but she's way older than I am and pretty rich too. B, can I sit there? Me, stares at her because what the duck? B, could I sit there? Me, she never even said please. I didn't want to say no not to be rude, but I also didn't want to say yes because I'm sitting there.
Hey, there are plenty of seats. She looks around at the other seats and points to them to make a point as if that logic doesn't also apply to her. Huh? Me.
B, you could learn some manners. I was flabbergasted at this. I didn't even say anything. B, you could use them someday. Me, yep. She walks away. I whip out my phone and message my friends about it because what? Then she has the audacity to go up to my dad, right in front of me, as I'm messaging my friends. B. Your son was really rude to me. Dad. Really? He looks at me, then back to B. B. Yes. He won't let me sit there. Dad. Looks at me again as I try not to burst out laughing because she sounds like a child daubing on another child. Oh. B. He has no manners. Dad. Oh well. B. You should teach him some manners. Dad. He actually injured himself pretty badly and can't really walk. I told him to sit there. Father coming in clutch for me and lying to her face. B. Oh, if I had known! I wouldn't have said such things. He just had to let me know. Then she starts kind of babying me. I'm pretty sure at some point during the conversation she asked my dad to tell me to move. Overall, it was a bizarre experience, and I sat there for pretty much the entirety of lunch. As I said, she started babying me, and I felt gross about it. I asked my dad for literally just a cracker with some dip, and she dove right in and said she would get it for me, even though I asked my dad. Then she grabbed my shoulder into a death grip and told me she would do whatever I needed, that I could always come to her. I felt even less bad about not giving her my seat because of this. When my dad and I left, he asked me what happened, and I explained it, while laughing, of course. He said because she's rich and so much older than me, she thinks she's entitled enough to ask younger people for things and expects to get it. The next one is an entitled parent's story. So Wednesday, I-16F was sick, I had a fever, and just felt really bad, so I stayed home from school and was spending most of the day lying in bed, but around noon I moved to the living room couch because it was getting really hot in my room and it was cool in the living room, and some context, our living room is filled with large windows on two walls. One points to the street in front of the house and the other to my neighbor's house on the left of our house. So I went to the couch and I still felt hot. So I took off my shirt. At that point, I was only wearing short shorts and my bra. So I was lying down for a few minutes when there was a knock on the door, and my mom went to go answer it. The living room is right next to the door, so it wasn't hard to hear the conversation. So my mom opened the door, and the neighbor who we'll call Karen was there and said, "Hi, Susan, my mom, if you need clarification." "How are you doing? I came over to tell your daughter to cover up." My mom then reasonably said, "Excuse me," to which Karen replied, "Yes, it's kind of weird what she's doing, exposing herself like that." My mom, now a bit less patient, said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that you could tell me what to do with my kids in my house." Karen then replied, "Oh no, that's not what I'm trying to do. It's just that my husband's office is right across your windows, and it's hard for him to concentrate on work when there's a naked teen on the other side of his window." My mom, just about as dumbfounded as I was at this point, told Karen, "Okay, 3 things. First, my daughter's not naked, and even if she was, it wouldn't matter because she lives here and she can wear whatever she wants. Second, what is your husband, a 45-year-old man, doing looking at my 16-year-old daughter in her underwear? And third, get off my property because we're done here." And with that, my mom slammed the door in Karen's face. My mom saw the husband later that day. When he was taking out the trash, she told him to stop looking at me through the windows. He was confused, and my mom explained what happened, and he said, "I didn't work from home today." He then apologized for his wife and went inside, and we haven't heard from them since then. And on Thursday, my mom bought curtains for the living room windows. So yeah, that was my encounter with our neighbors. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.